What's up, folks? Welcome back to All Things Baltimore Sports, brought to you by Great Eights Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland, in conjunction with Driving to the Top Productions Podcast Network. I'm the host, Matt Trigger, and we are covering the Orioles again this week. This is Foul Ball Talk with my co-host, as usual these days, Tim Malarkey. Tim, what is going on, buddy? And we are almost wrapping up this
I
Angel
don't
series.
agree, but it worked in our favor.
Yep, we are. We just got a review in our favor for the final out. It was a close throw there to second. Gunner made the tag. He celebrated like he had it, but they looked at it for a while. Call might have gone in our favor, but it ends the game and puts Kimbrel notches him another save.
Seems like they wanted to start their weekend early, I guess.
Yeah, they want to get out of there. They don't have to see the Orioles anymore.
Yeah, I'm happy with how the last couple of series went. Last time we talked was right before the Kansas City Royals series and the Los Angeles Angels series, and we won both series, and not really much to complain about. I mean, of course, we have some stuff that we want to go over. Grayson Rodriguez got absolutely shelled yesterday.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to get shelled once in a while. He hasn't really had any of those outings in almost a year. It seems like to where he just totally looked like he didn't have any control.
He does that from time to time, though. So
he does. He's good for one or two a season.
Yep.
One thing that bothers me is that Mike Trout seems like he hits against us better than anybody else.
Yeah, I was just saying I might take some heat for that, but that man hits the most boring home runs I could ever imagine. They are just so boring.
They are quite boring. Dude's one of the greatest baseball players to ever live, though.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
I'm not going to go out on a limb and say he's this generation's Griffey, but he's damn near close.
No, he is.
He's one of my favorite non-Oriole players of this generation. I'm mostly biased towards our guys, but Trout's just so much fun to watch. He has been for years. It's a shame that he got stuck on a shitty Angels team for the majority of his prime. And now it's even worse considering Shohei is across town. What's some stuff you want to? Let's get into a little bit of this of the last two series. How did you feel about the Kansas City Royals series? I know that Kowser was on full display for that series.
He was. I will tell you, Matt, if I am just glad that we got both of the World Series out of the way and we don't have to see those guys again. I mean, unless, God forbid, we see them in the postseason. But I really dislike playing the Royals. I don't know what it is about them, but they have grown to have a special place of dislike in my heart. Friday was rough. I got a little nervous with that game. I mean, we lost 9-4. I had a bad taste in my mouth after that game. Like, man, is this how this series is going to go? Because, we took it from them when they came to town at Camden. But luckily we turned things around on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday was actually our first shutout of the year, 5-0. So that was good to see. I mean, anytime you're taking a series, that's really what it boils down to for me. Go in there and get the series. Of course, the sweeps are nice, but I mean, you take 2 from every 3-game series, you're golden.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about another 100-win season if you can take 2 out of 3 from almost every single series that you play. Nothing else is really alarming me. Jackson Holliday is starting to put the bat on the ball, and I know he had another hit last night. I've been in daddy mode, so I'm not sure if he had a hit today or not. I didn't get a chance to check the box score.
No, he didn't even pinch hit today. He wasn't in the lineup. So
okay.
So
I've been in full on dad mode since getting home from work.
If you want to pull something up real quick, I'll share it.
Absolutely.
This is Jackson up to date with where we're looking at right now. Let's see, this is okay. So not much has changed with the pitches he's seeing. So that tells me a couple things. That tells me that this guy right now, if I can, there it is. So if you see here, like not much has changed. pitchers are still staying away and down on him, which with how his last, I would say 4 at bats have looked, it's a good thing. He is, he's corrected his head a little bit. He's not swinging through and looking all the way down the first baseline. I've noticed in his last 2 at bats specifically, his gigantic foot kick that he's had is kind of softened a little bit. And that's probably a combination of him settling in, but also the hitting coaches getting in his ear a little bit and working things out. I think he's in a spot now where we're not going to see him against lefties. I think it's gonna be dead. He's gonna strictly face right-handed pitching until he really figures it out. But it's just the last 3 or 4 at bats, he's looked calmer. He's taken some good pitches. He almost, I think he would have had 2 hits last night. He got really unlucky with that third one. He hit a rocket that the pitcher actually was trying to get out of the way of, and his pitching hand was still in like midst of follow through. And it caught the pitcher on his bare hand. That one would have definitely punched through for another hit. So what against all the naysayers said, I think we're starting to see early signs of him settling in, and I'm super excited for that.
I am too. I think that he's going to eventually correct a lot of his mistakes. It was, as Zach pointed out, that we showed on the screen a second ago. He thought it was interesting that when he was in Delmarva and down in low A and high A ball, he didn't have that leg kick. It seems like he developed it when he kind of started moving up. And Mike Bordick was on the fan earlier today talking about the leg kick before the game started. And he said that it's just something that he's got to work through and work out and find what works for him. He brought up a good point about Colton Cowser, how, from his debut to right now, he's changed his approach at the plate completely. And how it's a work in progress. And he said you're going to see good major league pitching almost every single night. Bordick even said there's a reason why these guys are in the majors. So to me, that makes sense. I think he's going to get it figured out. We just got to let this ride out. We got to let him figure this out for himself with the help of the staff. Sending him back to the minors where he was hitting 400 for the first couple of weeks, that does nothing for him except alleviate the hit situation. He can play defense. We know he's quick on the bases. We know that he's a smart baseball player. You're the number 1 prospect in baseball. It's time to get this train moving, and there's no more time for give him time to develop. We're in the midst of a season where our win percentage is near 70% through the first almost month. Let's get it together, buddy.
And I think and you and I both maybe sound like we're beating a dead horse here when we say this, but there's nothing left for him to learn at the lower level. He's not going to see any left-handed pitchers at that level that even compare to what he's seeing up here. The only thing it would ever be is a mental reset. There was something interesting that was brought to my attention. Zach actually brought it up with me, is that McKenna has been taking balls at second base. So that gave me a little bit of an eyebrow raise, because we know that is Hyder's boy, and he will find a spot for that man no matter what. But I'm still not worried. Jackson's settling in. I'm zero concern. Like I said, his last 3 or 4 at-bats have really looked very different than his first week up with the team. So I'm excited.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the time the transition is from the infield to the outfield and not the other way around. I think the only person that might have been successful in moving from the outfield to the infield is Mookie Betts, and he is one of one.
Right.
He is the exception, not the rule.
Right.
So I that doesn't bother me at all when it comes to McKenna taking ground balls at second base. This dude, I don't know what he has on the organization, but out of all the prospects we have in AAA and AA, why he's still hanging around.
He's literally hanging. Hyde has a picture of him hanging in his hallway at home, I'm pretty sure.
He's got to. There's no other way it makes sense. It baffles me, because Stowers could be up here, Kerstad's here, and I know he went hitless in his 2024 debut yesterday. But I'm liking how we're playing right now. I'm okay with the pitching staff. Other than Grayson getting rocked, but that's to be expected at least once in a while. What starter stood out to you throughout the last two series? Because I'll tell you who mine was after you.
Well, I mean, Irvin had a hell of a game. I think there might be a little bit of a spark with Irvin coming through with that game because today Dean threw, was it 10 strikeouts, I think. So Dean was on one today. But if I had to give my trophy for this last series, it'd probably be to Irvin stepping up, which is surprising. I think Dylan Tate also last night showed some stuff that I was, not overly excited for, but happy to see. He looked like he is starting to settle in with his command, which is great. Because Tate could be a really big asset for that bullpen, especially a bullpen that's lacking. I know you were on parent duty today, but he pitched after this, but Cano took a pitch and he pulled up like he had rolled his ankle or something on his foot was bothering him. Trainer went out and everything like that. He ended up staying in and pitching, and then he came back next inning and let a home run fly. But I don't think we're in a position where we can take a hit in the bullpen right now. But my two takeaways from the series would be Tate looked good, looked like he was settling in, and then Irvin showing up with that big game.
I was happy about Irvin. He had a really good game. Suarez is earning himself a spot in this rotation,
Big Al.
slowly but surely. That man was on fire again. Another solid, almost 6 innings. I think he gave 5 2/3 the last go around. His first start was 6 2/3. If we can get consistently to either the 6th inning or almost there, I like the chances of limiting this bullpen because obviously that we both thought that would be a little bit of a weak point when we did our first show of the year. But Suarez, I'm telling you, Tim, he's got that feeling to where he wants to be at the major league level again, and he's been world traveled from the last time he was in the majors to now, and the guy is just on fire for us, and I really like the fact that he is contributing to this team to where we have a good problem on our hands when Means is back. We don't have a whole lot of faith in Means right now, but when Means is back, they're saying Bradish is going to be back.
Yep, but I know you're still waiting on that.
I'm waiting
Bradish
on that.
is the starting pitcher tonight, and then as soon as he steps on the mound, bang.
Yeah. Because Zach has mentioned that in the comments over the last couple of times we talked about Bradish, and Tyler Wells should be back relatively soon. So we have a good situation going where we have a lot of options in that 4 or 5.
Perez coming back too.
Correct. So we have some arms that are coming to, the cavalry starting to show up slowly but surely. So we have a good problem to where we're going to have to make a tough decision, and somebody's going to have to go back down to the minors.
No, yeah.
To field our 13 best. And I hope it's Bauman because I can't do this anymore.
I don't think anybody can.
Bauman irritates my soul. And I'm saying this strictly from a baseball perspective. This is never personal when we talk about these guys, but it's just agitating because Bauman is clearly the weakest link of this bullpen.
Yeah, you get that gut feeling when Bauman's coming out. You're like, here we go, and everyone starts saying it and thinking it. I mean, he is definitely the candidate to be dropped when the cavalry arrives. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Big Al, man. Suarez has been such a pleasant surprise. His fastball. It's not even that. It's just he attacks like he's hungry.
And
he's
dances,
going
man.
at him.
It's not a flat fastball. That sucker has some movement to it.
Yep,
and it's late.
And he's hungry. He's attacking him. He's not backing off. You see these guys get let up a base hit and then they fall off and they stay away. Like he is up and in and on them, and he doesn't care. And then, like you said, I watched. They did an in-game interview with him today, and I've seen his locker room interviews, and it's like he's a career guy, right? So like he talks about how the Orioles gave him a shot, and he thanks God, and he says that like this was this was it. He realized that this was his shot to do what he always wanted to do and be the pitcher he always wanted to be. And like when you have a guy that has that fire in him and wants to go out there and do this, like there's power in that too. And you see it translates. So he has been an exceptional surprise. And I am excited to see where he falls into this team's, repertoire moving forward. So,
because at worst, if once you get your arms back, I do believe at some point in time a move will be made for a pitcher. I think we kind of have to get off of that train of thought that it's gonna be immediate. I think Elias is dead set on riding this team until we hit the warmer months of the year. But if worse comes to worse and you don't want to run a 6-man rotation, Suarez is a perfect long guy. Or you make Wells your long guy, you make Irvin your long guy. You have a lot of interchangeable pieces at the back end of that rotation after your Burns, G-Rod, Kramer.
Yep. No, certain for sure.
Because Dean is proving that he belongs in the starting rotation full time.
Yep.
There's not really any doubt about that. He is our legitimate number 3 right now. He might be a 4 or 5 on some better pitching staffs, but he's our 3 right now. I mean, that's how we gotta ride that out. Zach, with the comment of Wells is going to be a bulldog as a setup man. That would be interesting.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah,
especially because we were just Zach and I were just talking about the splits with Cano first inning versus second inning, and I took a peek at them before we hopped on the show tonight, and it's we would rather Cano not have to go 2 innings. Leave it at that.
Yeah. It's it's interesting. I never thought of Wells as a setup man until Zach just said it. I'm kind of like racking my brain about it right now. He's tough. He attacks hitters. He throws hard. Having Cano, Wells, and Kimbrel would kind of give you that 2014 vibe where you knew Miller was coming in the 7th inning. It was pretty much a wrap after that.
Yep.
Teams weren't able to hit off of us after the 7th inning during those magical stretches for what seemed to be that second half of 14. I wanted to, kind of get into our series that we have coming up, and I think that we're not going to really have a problem with
the A's.
With the A's, they're pretty much on. They have some fight in them, but they shouldn't be able to hang with us.
No, they do. I'll give it to them. They definitely have some fight in them. Their pitching is decent, and they are playing like. Kind of like they don't stink right now because of all that's going on within the franchise and with the fan base and everything like that. So you play different when you feel like you have nothing to lose. So there's a little fire in their belly. I think we take 2. It's hard to guarantee a sweep, but I think we take 2 there, and then it's right on to a 4-game series against those pinstripes.
Yes, and that's our first time seeing the Yankees this year, I believe, and
it is.
It seems like nobody on that offense over in New York is really trying other than Soto.
They're fraudulent, Matt. They're fraudulent, and they're going to find out when they pull up in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That's just a scary lineup when you look at it on paper, but when you see them play, it's kind of like you're looking around like, what is going on with these guys? Judge isn't really hitting. Stanton, those guys can barely stay healthy as it is, and Soto, he's just playing his way into a massive contract next year. That's all he's going to do. I doubt this might be a one-stop shop for good old Juan. It would be nice to see him hitting in right field here, but
yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'll tell you, I'll be on and I'm not trying to sound like a homer when I say this. I don't really fear many teams right now with the way, the big 4 are batting. And by big 4, I would say right now, I mean, Kowser's hitting the ball, but with all of the talent, it's right now for me, it's Adley, Gunnar, Westberg, and Mountcastle. And it's like, and then you have a guy like Cowser, who I'm not even talking about in that 5. I mean, right now, like Adley, he's batting 327. He is doing things that I put a post up about this last night, and like if Adley can keep playing the way he's playing, like he gets slept on because of the other names that are in our lineup. Like Gunner's doing his thing with 8 bombs right now, and he's hitting every game. But you have like, you can pull this up. This is Adley's spray chart. He's literally making contact, Matt, with every RISP situation. For those listening, runners in scoring position. He seems to be coming through in the clutch. The dude he's sticking his ass out, and he's getting little chops up the third baseline. He's, he can pivot and switch left. He can switch right. I mean, this spray chart speaks for itself. There's no method or madness to it. He is everywhere. He's making contact everywhere. And it is a beautiful thing to see. And if he can keep that up, Matt,
Can you blow that up for the people that are watching, Tim?
Yeah, definitely. If he can keep that up, like just with the fact that he has those other bats coming behind him in the lineup, I mean, it's runners in scoring position, Adley at the plate. Here comes some RBIs. If you're a gambling man, the RBI over under on Adley every game is a hell of a way to go, because I mean, this guy is lights out when it comes to driving in runs right now. And then you have people that are getting on base: Gunner, Mountcastle, Westberg, Cowser. Mateo's even gotten hot as of late when he's in the lineup. I mean, it's just, this is something that I've waited 33 years to be able to talk about and see and watch it happen, and it's awesome. But I just feel like this production, as you will, from Adley right now should be talked about more, because it just seems like whenever you need a hit, he gets it.
Yeah, it's crazy that through all this, Adley's hitting a quiet 327, and and I mean, for those of us that listen and watch every game, it's not surprising, but national media coverage, it's Jackson, it's Gunner, it's Cowser, those names come up more. Mounty's having a good year, but the fact that your number 2 hitter is hitting almost 330 a month into the season speaks volumes for what type of year this could possibly be. I have total faith that Adley's going to continue this, and he should be on his way to his second straight All-Star game. And the dude is clutch.
He's the
fantastic.
definition of clutch.
Yes, he is. He's probably our most clutch hitter, and having him and Gunner and Cowser, they could potentially be 1, 2, 3 for years to come.
Yep.
And and you can interchange number 4 with Mounty and whoever, but it's promising. And I think that we're gonna really see what this team's made of over the next 7 games. You got to get through the scrappy A's, even though that they're not that, like we alluded to a couple minutes ago. They're scrappy, they're good, but this first test with the Yankees, with the schedule being completely different now as it's been the last couple of years, we don't get as many games against our division rivals, so every game counts.
It does.
So this is a really big and important series coming up. It's supposed to be in the high 80s next week when the Yankees get to town. So hopefully the ball should be flying out of the park in our favor. And as Zach alluded to a couple of minutes ago with this comment, the guys that are struggling, we can't let them get going against us. We got to pounce on these guys and assert our dominance in the AL East. That whole Orioles in third place in the AL East, that lasted all of 3 or 4 days. So we're starting to see early right now who the leaders of the pack is going to be and who's going to fall off to the wayside in the AL East. I think we're really starting to establish who we are and what we're going to be heading into the more important months of the season, which is right before the All-Star break.
We got a interesting comment in here, Matt, of who we think is going to get extended first. And well, it was prefaced with whose jersey should I get? And the answer is Gunner. I think, he's the face of the Orioles, but I want to ask you, Matt, because I battle back and forth with this conversation as who's getting the extension first. I personally think it should be Gunner. I love Adley to death. I think the extension needs to go to Gunnar. My only issue with that is will Gunnar's agent let him extend?
That's where I'm going to disagree with you for the simple fact that, I mean, I agree that it should be Gunnar, but the first extension is going to be Adley.
Yeah. Just based off of, because are you saying that because you think it's possible, it's more possible with Boris being Gunner's agent, or you think it should be for the team?
I think it's both. Adley was up since Adley's been up here. We have had an extreme amount of success. Our winning percentage is high. We are in almost every ball game. He is a really good catcher behind the plate. Some of the rule changes may have affected him in terms of, throwouts and pop up time and all that, but that can be corrected eventually. He still calls a very good game. He's got great control over the staff. The pitchers love him, and he's somebody that you want to lock up first. As much as we want Gunnar to be locked up, with the way this past offseason went with Boris, I really don't think anybody understands how pissed off he's going to be negotiating with the league. Because if it continues, I don't put it past Boris to sue the MLB on grounds of collusion
against his clients
because they don't want to deal with him.
Right.
And I'm all for getting these guys paid. I think they should maximize their earning potential because pro sports is very wishy-washy with, you could be here one day and gone the next with an injury, or just, you could have a monumental fall off a la Chris Davis.
Yeah. Good Lord.
So I agree these guys to get their money. But at the same time, with the way everything went with Boris in the offseason with Snell and with Montgomery ended up firing him. I don't think he's going to give any teams good grace in negotiating early, especially buying out arbitration years.
Right.
Because he's going to want these guys to go to arbitration, get paid in arbitration, and then get paid even more because that extends his paychecks even longer into the future.
Exactly.
If we buy out Gunner's arbitration years, you're looking at Gunnar getting his first big deal in 2025 or 2026 as opposed to 2028. And that's just 2 less years of him making lucrative commission off the contracts. So that's where I'm at with that. Is even though I want Gunnar pen to paper, trust me, I want Gunnar pen to paper.
Yeah.
As much as you, as much as anybody else in Birdland. But I do believe it's going to be Adley first and foremost. And I can see
here, I'll share this for you while you're talking about why you want Gunnar pen to paper. For those watching, you can check out this average exit velocity.
Yeah, we talked about that last week with Gunnar.
He's still there.
He's still there. He's crazy strong. I think the only person that might hit the ball harder than him there might be 3 guys that hit the ball harder than him. And that might be Judge, it might be Ohtani, and De La Cruz.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And like I was complaining earlier how Mike Trout's home runs are boring. Gunner's home runs make me want to get up and jump through a wall. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just the power he puts into it, his face. He like even tonight, he's just so animated, and it's almost
poetic violence.
Yeah, he's pissed. And he got hit with that pitch tonight at his first at bat. What did he do at his second at bat? See you later. Like, he hates it. He got walked tonight. He hates it. And I love it. I love that passion. And
absolutely.
I'd like to credit it, as one of the comments said, to the flow, but I'm going to lean more towards the stash because he's had the flow, but the stash is new this year. So
he's had the flow since he came up.
For the stash guys out there, it's the power of the stash. And
I'm going to attribute Kowser to the grown man beard.
The beard, yeah, he's
the grown man full beard. It's starting to work its magic.
Kowser's home runs look like he's not even trying. Looks like he's fanning the room. It's hilarious.
And it's crazy how it looks so effortless. Mm-hmm. And when he turned on that in Kansas City, when he turned on that pitch and it's down and in, and he just muscled it to the water fountain. it's it was just like, okay, he turned on the ball, and I'm like, oh, that's definitely gone. There's no
No,
doubt about that.
yeah.
That was heading into the bleachers, and it cleared the bleachers. These dudes have got crazy power. There's from 1 through 6. There's a massive amount of power in this lineup.
I
Gunner, Adley to a degree, even though he doesn't have power hitting,
he's
home run results, he's still a hard hitter.
So the thing about Adley is he does have that pop and power, but he's such a contact first. Like he's not thinking power. He's thinking I'm making contact. It's in that you see that. That's the spray chart we just looked at. That's the difference. It's power second for him. There's guys that it's power all the time, foot on the pedal, as we saw with Kerstad last night. He was turning himself around. He was swinging so hard.
Yeah, he was trying to hit one of those 500-foot bombs that he was hitting down in Norfolk, and I think he kind of fell into last night what Jackson fell into, where the hype is around the Norfolk 5, and he's the second one up, and he's hitting in front of Jackson in the lineup, and he wants to make his mark. It'll come. He was up here hitting home runs last year,
Yep.
so I don't know what the pressing is about. They called him up here. He's going to get at bats. He's going to do his thing. These young kids just need to settle down.
Yeah. Yep. Stick that ass out, reach out for that ball, bloop it up the third baseline. Like I'd rather celebrate your name and jump up off my couch because you just drove in 2 runs than I would watch you swing so hard that you're breaking your neck. And but they'll learn. They're young.
Yeah, there's going to be growing pains, and luckily they're hitting 8 and 9 in a lineup that features Gunner, Adley, Cowser, Mounty, Mullins, and Westberg.
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
guys
and
are all hitting well.
a prime example is look at what happened when Cowser came up last year. He was doing the same thing that we're seeing both of them do right now.
It's nerves, it's pressure. It's going from seeing minor league pitching to major league pitching. Even the worst major league pitchers are still filthy compared to what's in the minors.
Yep. Nope, I agree. What do you think with this Yankee series, Matt? How many games?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we take 3 out of 4.
That's what. Yeah, and I wanted to
I
bring
think we
that
sweep.
point up.
I think we sweep the A's.
That would be awesome. We're due for a sweep. It's been a couple series in between the last one, so
Boston was the last sweep.
Yeah, it would be really nice to break the brooms out before we welcome the pinstripes into town. And I think people, because everyone's so used to these 3-game series, but these 4-game series, the difference between taking or splitting the series 2-2 versus taking 3 out of 4 on a 4-game series is massive. When it comes down to the end of the year and those those numbers are lining up, it's a really big deal. And I know people are going to say, it's just one game, but taking 3 of 4 in a 4-game series is a big deal. So,
Yeah. And with the way the rotation is falling, I'm interested to see Corbin Burns against the Yankees.
Yeah, I think with the way it's falling, he's day 2.
Yes, I'm excited to see how he faces a AL East powerhouse. He's an absolute bulldog. Fantastic trade, in my opinion, still to this day. He's another guy I want us to sign to an extension. After seeing him pitch an opening day, that was some fantastic stuff.
He's going to want some money, that's for sure.
We got an owner that might be game for that, though. You never know. Rubenstein seems to be all about this team.
Well, judging by our owner, I think he's got a little soft spot in his heart for Cedric.
Yes, he does. He was very complimentary of Cedric on Twitter the other day, or X as it's now called. But he admires Cedric, and I can see them kind of getting, a deal done maybe around the All-Star break, especially if he's an All-Star.
Maybe a couple years until Enrique is really ready.
Yeah, I mean, because Cowser can play the corner outfield. He can play anywhere out there. I really truly believe at this point the odd man out in this entire situation is Hayes.
Yeah.
And it's becoming apparent now that he can't get back to what he needs to be back to. I understand that baseball's a grind and getting the weight back on and getting your energy back up. All these young cats are not only knocking at the door, they're here. They're at the show.
And
you can't take them out of lineup every day.
No, you can't. And they can say that, his calf injury where he pulled up on first base and he's now on the IL, that was just a freak injury or an accident. Everyone gets hurt, but at the same time, we know the reports just came out about him being sick twice, since one in spring training, one at the Pirate Series, losing 10 pounds, missing 3 weeks of his normal time where he'd be taking at bats and practicing and playing. And then all of a sudden he gets hurt on his calf pulling up to first base. Like not playing and not staying in your regular routine has effects on your body. And I think that is why, it's translating to what we just saw. Like you said, he can't get back to himself. And it's sad because I love Hayes and he's a great player. He held that left field wall down. But they're, like you said, I mean, they're knocking at the door, Matt. I don't need to beat around the bush. It is what it is. And unfortunately, baseball is a business, and we have one goal, and that's to win games and have the best players on the field.
It is a business, and we constantly talk about Stowers and Kerstad and Jackson, and Mayo's the next one that should be in line to come up. Arguably, we talked about this texting the other day that it could have been Mayo, but with the way things were projecting, it was going to be Kerstad. You thought McKenna was going to be back up. I'm
glad I was wrong, just to go on record. So all these
I know you were. I know you were glad that you were wrong. This is a good problem to have because now you got a third wave, so to speak, of Orioles prospects down on the farm that are going to be knocking at the door. To a lesser degree, Judge Fabian is there. He's serviceable, though he might be a trade chip, a piece for something larger. There's Enrique Bradfield Jr., who we just drafted this past draft last summer. And Dylan Beavers is now taking reps at first base, and you're going to want his bat in this lineup eventually. He's a little bit behind the rest of those guys in terms of maturity and experience, but Beavers is not far behind those guys knocking at that door for AAA and a potential look-see in Baltimore.
He's not
in the next 18 months.
No, he's not. And I haven't been able to give Beavers the eye test yet. So Steph and I were actually going to go Saturday down to Bowie, not this Saturday, the next. And I'm going to give Beavers the old eye test, see what I think in person.
Apparently, from all accounts on the radio, is that the dude's looking jacked. He's picked up weight, and he is still as fast as he was before last season when he was a little bit lighter. If he can do that, and he can play first base, and this is a good problem to have. I mean, it's crowded. He might not even get here. He might be another guy that gets shipped somewhere else because it seems like Elias can find an outfielder internationally or through the amateur draft. But
since you brought his name up, and we're talking extensions, it tends to get overlooked the fact that Mike Elias could use an extension.
He could. I think with this new ownership, I think we will see that. And I think that they're probably ironing out some issues, with the ownership and the transition of power and getting John out of there completely. It's not all immediate.
No.
So I think when Rubenstein has a full grasp of what's going on, I think we're going to see a lot of guys sticking around here for a very long time. I would not be shocked to see Elias as the highest paid general manager, vice president of operations, whatever you want to call him, in all of baseball.
He's got a hell of a track record.
His track record is proven. He helped build that Astros World Series roster. He's building a potential Orioles World Series roster. I trust that he's going to stay around. I don't see him. I can see a lot of teams throwing big money at him, especially teams like the Yankees or the Red Sox, or
because he has that Mr. Fix-It badge that he wears on his chest.
He is like the absolute opposite of Moneyball in terms of philosophy. The philosophy is the same, getting the most bang for your buck, but he's not afraid to go and make a move here or there. But he could be in demand the way that Bean was back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, and he's set us up. I think like it would be hard for me to see him walk after what he's done with the international program too. Like he's going to want to see, the fruits of his labor develop. And I think that with having an owner now that we see is active and is in love with the Orioles. I mean, the guy was sitting in the 300s the other night, and then he was, moving around, and he's tweeting all day about the Orioles. And it's once, like you said, the dust settles, the deal's official, and Daddy David gets an idea of, where things lie. I think that there could be a very powerful front office in this Baltimore Orioles organization for years to come. So.
Absolutely. And Stephanie commented that she just watched Moneyball for the first time this weekend. I'm so sorry that it took you this long. That film is masterful for baseball fans.
Oh, it is.
I will watch that whenever it's on TV, or I'll tape it if I can't sit down and watch it right away. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. But I'm looking forward to this next week of baseball, Tim. I think we're gonna see some exciting Orioles baseball. I think a 7-1 stretch is not out of the question.
Yep.
Um,
I want to see Gunnar keep mashing. I want to see Adley keep driving in runs. I'd like to see Cowser pick back up. He's had a couple days where it's been kind of quiet on the Cowser front, so I'd like to see him maintain that velocity that he's had coming in to this past series. I think Westberg, we know what we're going to get. That guy's locked in. And what I'd really like to see, and I think, baseball's poetic. We talk about this all the time. Like even something simple as Cowser chucking the ball into the fountain and then the next day hitting a home run right into the fountain. There's these little things that happen. And Matt, how sweet would it be if Mr. Holliday's first jack is against some pinstripes at Camden Yards?
It would be fantastic. Maybe that would kickstart, the Jackson Holiday era a little bit quicker than what it's been. But that'll do it for the show, Tim. That was a fantastic wrap up for the last two series. We'll be back next week on Thursday evening. The Orioles' final game against the New York Yankees is at 1:05 or 2:05 on that Thursday. So we will be back on Thursday night to cover the A's and the New York Yankees series. Tim, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Right here, Facebook, Tim Malarkey is the name, but if you just want to be flooded with Orioles content, T_Malarkey on X or the old Twitter. So holler at your boy.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in for the Foul Ball Talk. Coming up at 8 o'clock, I will be with Dennis Kolatzis from WNST Radio to talk Ravens draft for tomorrow night.
Yeah, you all stick around. This is going to be an awesome interview. You don't want to miss it.
There you go. Thanks, Tim. And we'll see you all next week.